Hi, welcome back. I'm Chris Hitchens, your college application coach. In this segment, we're going to have a couple sessions of question and answers. We're going to talk about what juniors should be doing this time of year, what seniors should be doing this time of year, maybe a little bit about what athletes who want to play college sports should be doing, and also we're going to have a guest, Sherry Flaherty of the Flaherty Group. She's going to talk about her college application navigation process. We'll be right back. Hi, welcome back. I'm Chris Hitchens, your college application coach. If you have questions you want to submit for the show or just for private message, you can send them to chrisjhitchens.com and follow the links. All right, what should juniors be doing this time of year? Juniors should be starting to make lists of potential colleges they would like to go to. They should ask their parents to take them on some college visits soon. If you haven't done so this summer, weekends, holiday break, maybe even the fall, you should look at 3 different colleges, possibly one in an urban setting, one in a suburban setting, and maybe a small liberal arts college. It's a start to give you something to compare. Seniors should be wrapping up their college essay, should be wrapping up their applications, and parents, if you haven't done the FAFSA, now's the time. It opened up October 1st, sooner the better. If you have questions about anything, you can contact me at chrisjhitchens.com. All right, questions that came in this month. This is from Pinky. Pinky says, I have a credit card with a purposely low limit. If I add my high school senior as an authorized user, will that help build his history? I honestly don't know how this works. That was her. Please explain. All right, if you add him as a user, no, this will not help his credit history. Get him his own card. I know Discover has a student card, but he needs his own card, not just being part of your card, to start his own credit report history. Next, this comes from Susanna. Susanna writes, my daughter is a junior in Boston College. I have a FAFSA ID for her. My son is a senior in high school right now. Do I need a different FAFSA ID for him? Thanks. You do need a different FAFSA ID for him. FAFSA is going to want to know how many students you have in college all at one time, so it's going to actually help your EFC. John writes, SAT scores, I'm trying to figure out how these non-Ivy schools report such high SAT scores. All right, we all know the Ivy League schools, everyone has a high SAT score for the most part. What about these non-Ivy schools? How come their SAT scores are so high? Super scoring could inflate college reporting SAT scores compared to students just taking the SAT one time. Also, I know the test optional comes into play, but how are these non-Ivy schools getting such high SAT scores? Well, you figure there's about 40,000 high schools in the United States. If I count all the Ivy League schools and all the upper tier schools, even if they're not Ivy League schools, there's only about 20,000 spots in those schools. It means 20,000 kids who are valedictorians at their high schools are not going to an Ivy League or upper tier school. These kids are going somewhere, and that's where the high SAT scores are coming from. I guess that's just out of curiosity. Just to give parents of kids without super high grade scores hope. All right, this is a shout out from Anonymous. My daughter was just accepted at a school with a 43% acceptance rate. 43% is relatively selective. Pitt and Penn State have an acceptance rate about 55%, so 43 is pretty good. With a GPA and SAT well below the school average, the acceptance letter contained a handwritten note telling her that her sports, theater, and service trips made her stand out amongst the others. They used the term highly impressive resume. So we're living proof you don't need a 4.6 GPA and a 1500 SAT to get accepted into great schools. This is a wonderful shout out for those NEET kids. People always ask me, my student doesn't have the highest GPA, their test scores are okay, but not fantastic, they're not through the roof. Is there merit money available? Can they get into a better school, a more selective school? The answer is yes, they can. This is the category that I like to deem neat kids. These are kids who have a sports background. They're in theater. They do service trips. They do community service. So these are these neat kids. So there's a shout out for the neat kids. Don't have the great grades, the highest SAT scores, but get into wonderful colleges. And there's probably money involved. Anonymous question from a listener. What would an inheritance to the parents be considered income and used when figuring financial aid and be put on FAFSA? Yes, inheritance, if you have it in hand, is an asset. So it also, well, I guess it kind of depends on what kind of inheritance we're talking about. If it's in your savings account, if it's in your checking account, if it is cash on hand, yes, that is an asset and that counts. Now, that being said, if you get an inheritance and you take it and you want to pay off your mortgage, that will help your EFC. If you want to pay down those credit cards, that will help your EFC. I also know there are some life insurance products out there, some investment products out there that you could use if this inheritance is in the form of actual money that you could use, buy, invest, that will help lower your EFC. So there are things to do. If you need someone to help you with investing, let me know. I have people I work with. Just go to chrisjhitchens.com, send me a message, and I'll let them know. Quick question. Filled out FAFSA 3 weeks ago. Daughter received email saying it was submitted. They said she will get another email after it's processed. Haven't received that email yet. Should it take that long? Waiting for that email before adding the 11th school. Thanks for in advance. You can only add 10 schools to your FAFSA report. So we're waiting for that email to saying the schools have received your submitted FAFSA. You haven't gotten back to you in about 3 weeks. I would call the school. They're expecting calls like this. Call the financial aid office. Ask them if they have received the FAFSA. Once they do receive your FAFSA report, you can go into the FAFSA, delete that school, add in additional schools if you like. But really, call the schools. That's what the officers are there for. They won't mind. Julie writes, has anyone successfully saved or printed the PDF of the student's application generated by the Common App? Is this possible? Yes, I've done it. The people I work with do it. So there is a save a PDF for your records or a print. If you're having issues doing that, that sounds more of a technical issue. If you write to me, I'll try to give you a hand. But yeah, you can save the PDF or print the PDF. Asking for a friend. These always make me laugh. Is a score of 1125 on the 10th grade PSAT good or bad? Thank you. 1125, I did have to look this up. 1125 is in the 85th percentile, which is actually reasonably good. So you're in that, above that 75% score or percentile. So these are the type, but this is great because it gives you the type of colleges your students should be looking for. So when you investigate colleges, you go on their website, you look at their common data set, you see what kind of students are going to a college that you're interested in, and see, will that score help them fit in? My oldest daughter from Christina is going to college, or is at college right now, and thinking about her valuables. I was wondering how college students secure valuables in the dorm rooms. When I was in college, we didn't have tablets, iPads, things like that, iPhones. Thank you for recommendations. All right, so in your college dorm, and when you do the college visit, this is one thing to ask. Is there a locking drawer in your college desk? But I know if you go to Amazon, there are specific websites for this type of issue, and they sell actually safes for dorm rooms, and they sell locking lockers for dorm room. But right, valuables are an issue that you and I probably did not have an issue with when we were in college. All right. That's finishing up the first segment of question and answers. We're going to be back with Sherry Flaherty and another question and answer segment. Hi, welcome back. I'm Chris Hitchens, your college application coach. If you need to send in inquiry, get your question answered on air or through private message, go to chrisjhitchens.com. And this segment, I am glad to welcome Sherry Flaherty. Sherry's from the Realty One Group Platinum in Mount Lebanon. And as we do each month, we bring someone in and talk about how they experienced the college application process, or maybe how they've gone through it with their family. Welcome, Sherry.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks
Appreciate
for coming here.
Absolutely. Great to be here.
So you have gone through the college application process yourself.
I have.
And your children have gone through the college application process.
Yes.
Differences between those two processes, because you and I went to college probably about the same time. I went in the mid 80s, early 80s.
I did as well.
So yeah, things have changed a great deal. I've
They've
noticed.
changed, yes. So I actually went as a non-traditional college student. I was working for a Fortune 500 company, and I learned pretty quickly that having a college degree would be better for my career than not.
So you were working for the Fortune 500 company before you had
Right out of
college
high
degree.
school.
Right out of high school. That's
Yes.
impressive.
Yes. And one of the opportunities that I had was to be everybody's backup in the human resource department. So I didn't really have my own job,
Right.
but I backed everybody
Okay.
up. So I learned a lot, including what salaries look like for folks who have college degrees and folks who don't.
That's one thing we like to. Sometimes we emphasize is especially your lifelong earnings. There's a giant
Absolutely.
gap between
Yes.
high school and having college
Yeah.
education.
And back then, we didn't have anybody that helped to guide you through that process.
Got it. Yes.
So would it be great if somebody like you was available to do that? I certainly would have taken up that opportunity.
I know I needed someone like me also.
So I think there are a lot of non-traditional folks out there, as well as kids in high school, that want to go to college, and they need somebody to walk them through the process. So I had to do it on my own, figure it out,
Right.
which I did. I can tell you having a college degree changed my life. So when I raised my two children, I just wanted them to go to college.
Right.
So they went in the traditional way right out of high school.
Sure.
Again, at that time, that would have been in, my kids graduated from high school in 03 and 06.
Okay.
So I did things like ensure they did well in school, so they'd have good SATs and good grades. And again, getting through the process it's a lot to figure out.
It is a lot to figure out, and it changes constantly.
Absolutely.
And now, when we were in school, I remember my parents probably wrote a check for about $3,000. And I went to Grove City for a year, and that was really it. So back then, so I did go an extra semester. I transferred to Penn State, so I had to go an extra semester, and it probably wasn't that big of a financial hit.
Right.
Nowadays, anytime you're going that extra semester, extra year, you could be talking about
It's a lot of money.
$30,000 plus you're not working. And
Right.
so this is one thing we emphasize, not only the great grades,
Sure.
SAT scores, working your potential.
Right.
So
And now explaining to your employer why it took you longer than
that's
it may have
interesting, right? That's an
to
interesting
get your
concept.
college degree. Absolutely.
Why did it take you 5 years or 6 years to get out of college? All right,
Absolutely.
that's reasonable. Also, one thing that I learned, that when you apply for financial aid and you look at merit-based scholarships or need-based scholarships, most of them are only guaranteed for 4 years. After
Absolutely.
4 years, you don't know what's going to be available to you. So
Right. And I think just knowing at the beginning what is available to you is the reason that folks today would certainly benefit by having somebody like you walking them through the process.
thanks.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to ask, how old were you when you graduated from college?
35.
You were 35. Okay.
Yes. I had a
Awesome.
full-time job, a husband, 2 kids, a house throughout the whole college process.
Wow. That
Yes.
sounds
And
like
back then, we didn't have the accelerated programs they have today.
Okay.
So I did one course at a time, one semester at a time until
Gotcha.
I got a college degree.
So there were no online courses.
There were not.
There were not online
No,
courses.
No.
So, ooh,
There were a few by the time I did my master's.
okay.
So I did that also as well, and was able to get through that in about 3 years, where it took me quite a bit longer to go through a bachelor's degree.
Gotcha. That's admirable. All right. So you got out of college, and then you're in your early 30s, and then what?
Then I got a great job at a telecommunication company, where I actually became the first female vice president for the company,
I think people would be fascinated to know that.
and
I
had a
am.
wonderful career there, and worked there for 15 years. And the company was sold to, I worked for Cricket Communications. It was sold to AT&T, and from there I moved into the real estate business, where I am now an entrepreneur.
Yes.
And own my own real estate company.
That's beautiful. So you're a Cricket for about 15 years, and then you decided you're going to look into something you can do on your own.
Yes, I had a great career there, traveled all over the country. I was in over 30 states, opening offices, hiring people,
That sounds like a lot of work.
helping other people be very successful.
Yes.
And I knew someday that when we sold the company, I wanted a job where I could still be in control of my life and my job and still go home at the end of the day.
So what company was that first real estate company you were with?
So I started out with Keller Williams
Okay.
and recently had an opportunity to purchase my own franchise of Realty One Group. And so I just opened recently in Mount Lebanon.
That's beautiful. That's impressive. I think that's a thing we want to look at. That so even out of high school, somebody could get a real estate license and sell real estate.
Absolutely.
But it'd be very difficult to become a realtor and then become a franchise owner.
So they want to get some business experience, certainly.
Yes.
And certainly there are courses available that would help them do that as well.
Right.
So there's always education available in anything somebody decides to do.
But you feel you would not be in the situation or position you are right now without that, if you didn't go through that college application,
Absolutely
college
not.
process.
The college process changed my life.
Gotcha. It's similar to what my mother went through. She went back to college when I was 14, got her teaching degree when I was in college, and then, and that
Sure.
made large changes, especially with not only steady employment, but retirement.
Absolutely.
So that's a big deal. But that's incredibly impressive, especially the entrepreneur. Well, I hate to say especially, but going through the college process with family, working a job, then starting your own business. I think that's awesome.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
That's all the time we have. I want to thank Sherry Flaherty for being here this week. If you have questions, you can contact me at chrisjhitchens.com. Just follow the links. I will be glad to help you out, and we'll be back next month.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Sherry.
Thanks for having me.
Hi, welcome back. I want to thank Sherry for being our guest this month. Back to our question and answer segment. So Hassan writes, after I run the calculator for some colleges, I got a certain EFC. This value in some cases is less than half of the COA. We're going to have to do a little bit of translating here in a moment. So will this difference be covered by the school in the form of merits? If not, then how? All right, so the EFC. The EFC is your expected financial contribution generated from your FAFSA. So let's say your FAFSA the government decides that you can afford to pay $15,000 a year for your child's college application. The school costs $30,000 a year. Where's that additional $15,000 come from? It comes from somewhere. Some schools will give you scholarships. They'll give you merit aid. Sometimes they'll give you financial need aid. There's work study. They probably expect if those things fall through, you're looking at student loans. Now, there are some schools that offer 100% financial need. They will meet 100% of the family's financial need. But that just means they would make up that second $15,000. So if your EFC is $15,000, the college costs $30,000. They tell you they're going to meet 100% of that your financial need. You still have to pay the initial $15,000. They'll make up the rest. Now, not many colleges are like this, but the ones that are, a wonderful blessing. From Anonymous. My son was caught drinking in his dorm with roommates. He's underage. Campus police were called. Although they were just sitting in their room, police said they needed to notify the DMV. Now our car insurance has gone through the roof. Can you shed light on why the DMV was notified by police? All right, a little bit out of my element, but I do have some answers. Anytime there's underage drinking, I know in the state of Pennsylvania, the drinking summons goes to the Department of Transportation. So that's where the insurance rate goes up, comes into play. If the police were called, possibly you may want to bring a lawyer into the equation. If you need a suggestion, you can contact me at chrisjhitchens.com and send me a message, and I can make some recommendations. I myself am not a lawyer or a financial planner. Anonymous again, my ex-husband has a 429 for our daughter. He forgot to include it on his CSS. What's the best way to rectify this? You cannot go in and correct your CSS. For every school that you sent your profile to, you're going to have to go in, you're going to have to go and call the school and correct it, and they're going to ask you to send this information in writing. So the CSF cannot be altered. You're going to have to contact the schools, tell them what's going on. It's not that big of a deal. Send it in writing, just may cause a few delays. From Allison, we just finished filling out the FAFSA for my senior triplets. This was on the confirmation email. What does this mean? Is it good or bad for us? It gave me a number of 006572. Is this my EFC? All right, so triplets. And you got a number back of 006572. They are telling you that for each of your students, your estimated financial contribution should be $6,572. So you're looking about $19,000, $20,000 total, but each one's about $6,572. From Yu Ling, I have a question. If a kid has a GPA of 2.0 to 2.5, does that mean he or she will end up going to a community college for sure? Or will even community college accept that type of GPA? 2.0 to 2.5. Well, listen, 2 years ago, IUP had an acceptance rate of 99%. They can get in somewhere. This year it's only about 84%, but still, you're not going to get much merit aid, probably no merit aid. You might get need-based financial aid, but yes, if you're willing to pay the tuition, they can get in somewhere. And please don't dismiss community college. CCAC is a wonderful place for many students to start. It's a tool, and if used properly, it can be excellent. So don't dismiss community college. Next, from Jennifer. Before I submit FAFSA, can I go in to add more schools later? Or do the choices absolutely have to be entered now? All right, so here's what I suggest. In the FAFSA, they let you choose 10 schools, which your information will be sent. The schools get the information. They need to process it. It may take a couple weeks. Once they do, they should let you know. If they don't let you know, contact the school. Ask them if they process your FAFSA information. Once they do, you can go back into your FAFSA, delete that school, it's fine, add more schools. From Badia, hello, I'm looking for any tools or information you have used with your kids in high school to help them with career exploration and career planning. Thank you. I use what's called Focus to Explore. I have a subscription to Focus to Explore. I know people have used something called U-Science. So there are a number of tools out there. Again, Focus to Explore is a subscription base, but I think it is excellent. Completing applications, not sure how to answer, from Sandy. Do you intend to apply for need-based financial aid? So a question on the application is, do you intend to apply for need-based financial aid? Our EFC is very high and applying to Case Western. With their price tag, our EFC still leaves about $15,000 less than their price tag. Now, they are one of the schools that meet 100% of the family's financial needs. So you think they'd make up this $15,000. If the student gets accepted, they will make up this $15,000. But the question is, does being needy for financial aid hurt my child's acceptance chances? We struggle with this question on every application. Now, I'm going to say maybe. Of the 12 top attributes a student has, this is the first year where the ability to pay has come into play. So yes, it's possible that since they will meet your need and have to throw in that $15,000 themselves, it's possible that will affect their chance to getting into that college. This is the first year being able to pay full tuition or being able to make up pay the tuition has been part of the list. Usually it's just been grades and test scores. That's all the time we have for question and answers today. Again, if you have questions you'd like to send them, get them read on the air or just answered in a private message, go to chrisjhitchens.com, follow the links, and we appreciate your contributions. We'll be back next month.